Crafty here with week 5. We're in week 5 of our scrapping organization. Going well. Things are sort of kind of to clean up around here. Not really. Hope your guys' space is looking as chaotic as mine. So we're on week 5 and we're on scraps. And this was a problem area for me because I really didn't have a good scrap system. So I read through the lesson on the scrapbook.com. And then I also watched Janet from RTS deal with her scraps. And her video seriously is amazing. I have put it in the playlist. I will link it down below. But basically, when it comes to your scraps, one, there's a few decisions you need to make. One, what size are you not keeping? If it's a certain size, if there's a certain small size you won't keep, then automatically start, you're not keeping that. Even if you love that paper, toss it. 2, how many scraps are you willing to keep? And then figuring and making sure that is your limit, not allowing it, because when your scraps get overwhelmed and crazy, that's when they get overwhelmed and crazy. And that's when you feel like you don't have a space to go. So I have decided, and I will show you this sometime soon when I'm doing my kits section, I think. But on my desk, I have a bin that fits 12 by 12. And on it, I have I'm going to have this scrap. This is going to be my scrap folder. And this is all I'm going to allow. And I mean, this thing expands pretty big. And it's expanded quite a bit. But I've decided that tiny pieces, I'm just not going to use. It's not going to work for me. And so this is all the bigger I'm going to give myself. And the only reason I did this big of a container is so those pieces that are still 12 inches long or wide will fit somewhere. And that's something you got to keep in mind too. Like if you're doing 12 by 12 scrapping and you have papers that are going to be 12 by 12, you need a spot to put all those that'll fit a 12 inch piece of paper. So, and that's as big as you want it. Some people will do a drawer, some people will do boxes, some people will separate it all by color and they'll let those, so it all depends on what you are going to let yourself do. So I have decided that this is my scrap bin and that is it. I already went through it once and threw out a bunch of papers or put bigger pieces in like the box I'm taking to my crop that is in a week or so from when it's actually going to be when this airs. I'm going to be at that crop. So, and then I've sorted everything by color in here. I haven't done like an official divider, but when I had a 12-inch piece, I kind of put that down and then everything smaller went with it. So, and then I just kind of took apart all my hot mess kits because I used them up to a point that I really couldn't do much with them by themselves, and I was pulling for my scrap bin anyway. So I need to go through these and put them in my sorted folder already, but I'll just show you. So like in front here, this is all my pinks, and then I have purple, which I don't have a lot of. I don't have a lot of pink, but I don't scrap in those colors very often. And I am starting to do more card stuff, so I'm willing to keep some slightly smaller pieces, but really anything smaller than, if it's skinny and shorter than this, I'm probably not keeping. And otherwise this size is probably as big, as small as I'll go. I don't have anything much smaller than that. So little pink, purple, green. I did do like a turquoise section because I tend to have lots of turquoise. And then right behind that I did blue because they're very similar. That way if I get them stuck in the wrong area. And then, I don't know if you can see this. I've got oranges, then my reds. And I have like this cheapy paper I stuck in between. And then I have my neutrals, grays, blacks, whites. There's my white and my gray. So that is where I am with that. Now, another thing Janet also talked about in her video that I also am going to do. If I have scraps, now that I'm specifically, as I'm getting through all these old scrap room kits I have, and I have collections I have bought that I want to use, the scraps for those collections are going to go in those drawers with the collection until it gets to the point of being so small that I don't have enough to do with, essentially. So that, and then I will kind of put it in my scrap container, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and sort this stuff into here. But then what I wanted to show you, what I like to do with scraps sometimes, and this is a really good way to actually go through your scrap bin. So I think I might even try to do this once a month, do a monochromatic layout. And so I actually have a challenge for one, and I will do a layout here in a bit. I didn't think I had a lot of yellows, and then turns out I actually do. Because I had this one 12 by 12 piece left. This is the other side. It's a Mind's Eye, the sweetest thing. And this is all fun. I like this kind of for backgrounds, but the fact that this was yellow and I decided to do a monochromatic layout, and I kind of started already. I had these two pictures and my son's wearing yellow. I figured it'd be a fun color to use, and I didn't think I had that much yellow until I finally went through all my scraps, and then I realized all the yellow I had. So I have a 12 by 12 cardstock piece too that I don't know if I'll be using that, but then here's all my yellow scraps that I came up with. I found this that I had cut apart, and then some more cardstock, some different shades of yellow. That's all white. That's for matting photos. But yeah, so I mean, I don't have a ton of yellow, but I do have some yellow, enough that I was like, you know what? Let's do a yellow layout. That would be kind of fun. That's not a color I work with very often. So yeah, so stay tuned. I'm going to also do a video. I'll do a fast forwarded video of me creating my monochromatic yellow layout. I have some fun things, ideas in mind for creating this, and yeah, that is how I am going to store my scraps. So this week is scraps, work on your scraps, and next week we're doing photos, which is a big deal in my room. I have to get my photos reined in. I might have a couple ways that I store them, so to be continued. So yeah, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for my process video following next. All right, so here I'm showing you, I have this awesome template for cutting flowers to make like 3-dimensional flowers. So I decided I was going to add some flowers because part of this challenge too was we had to create something to enhance our layout. And so I thought creating some 3D flowers out of some of my scraps would be really fun, especially also because I have like 3 brads. So I did that. Off camera, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add texture paste. And we were in the middle of finally putting some stuff up on the walls in my scrap room while I was trying to do this. So I unfortunately did not record myself doing that. But what I did is I took that Vicky Bouton stencil from the Wildflower and Honey, and I put it on these 4 frames. And then, but I mixed in some mixed media. I mixed in some of my yellow shimmers. That is Tuscan Sun. And then I think I added a little bit of orange in there too because it wasn't quite turning as yellow as I wanted. And then I added a tiny bit of acrylic paint too, just to dye it. And it was Vicky Bouton modeling paste that came with the Wildflower and Honey as well. So I put that on those frames. And then I backed two of the frames with photos, one of the frames with one of those cut apart from an old kit, don't know. Figured it'd make a really good title. And then the other frame I backed with that fun like filigree laser cut cardstock scrap thing. I have like a little mini paper pad of those, so I thought that would be fun. So now I'm just going through and embellishing, adding little bits of scraps, adding some brads I had left over, creating that corner of interest down in the left. Yeah, and just adding things in here and here, adding a few layers. I loved that little tag I found in my yellow scraps. For journaling, I thought that was perfect. And then this little grid piece was really good. So, yeah. Sorry, I am trying to do something else as well. Okay. All right, so now I am gluing. So with those templates, what's really fun is I did not read this right away, but you trace the pattern twice and then you glue them together. There's a tab that like comes on the pattern. You glue the tabs together, so then you have one long piece. Then you refold them and basically like curl them around, which I'll show you what I'm going to do here in a second. while I was waiting for the glue to dry, I put everything down on my page. But you kind of re-accordion fold it, and then you have to glue the tab together. And I kind of struggle with it. And then I didn't want you guys to have to watch me struggle with it the rest of the time. So I did not record myself doing all 3 of them. But yeah, if you lay it on a flat surface, and then you just kind of go, like, pull it around. I put something on heavy on it. I was like, oh yeah, glue dots. These will work. And I put a few glue dots on the back and a few on the front, because then I added these brads to the center. And they were just long enough that the flowers were just thick enough that the brads just kind of stick in there. They don't actually use their brad part. So I just stuck it. And so sorry, and then I did not record myself putting the rest of the things on the layout. But I used "There's No Place Like Here" as my title. Just kept it simple, nice little grid layout. Love it. Here are some close-ups. Enjoy. Thank you for watching. Bye.